Life's just a game. We all wanna win.
Hey everyone, it's Jason again. I am going to do a video on the Rules and Regulations Nefarious Neighbors expansion pack. The Rules and Regulation game is just coming out the current holiday season 2019. The expansion, I don't know if will be released immediately or come later. Basically, it does is it lets you play as more players, adds a bunch of new cards, and just a different way to play. So it's kind of neat. I'm going to go through, if you want to know how to kind of play the game, go back. I did make a little how to play-ish video. It's not step by step, but it'll give you the gist of what the game is, see if you're interested. I did do a video for the first base game, so if you want to see what's in that box, or you can check out this one to see if it's worth picking up this one. Before I go through this, I'm going to quickly just go through some Kickstarter exclusive cards I got. Skip a couple minutes if you don't want to look at this. So we have the Unstable Unicorn, which is what one of their first games was. So adds another unicorn to the game. That was actually a Kickstarter promotion. Then they had a special pack you could buy. Said Mischievous Kelpie. So you get another special creature. The Majestic Phoenix, which actually now makes there 2 phoenixes in the game. And the Stunning Knitze. This is a special box. And then it came with a couple of blank cards, 2 for each set. Your creatures, the spells, Regulation 18 and 19. And then some rule cards, which are kind of nice. So I did mention in my other video as I didn't like they didn't have one for the spinner. They added one for that. So I forgot I had these. So I just kind of, but it does have to go to page 10 in the rulebook for the event spinner. But that's a 1 out of 6 chance. That's not even so bad. But also it's a quick little thing. But it kind of sucks that these only came as a special thing, not just in the base game. That's those. Alright, so now we're going to look at the Rules and Regulation Nefarious Neighbors expansion. So, the big thing this one does is trust no one. So I'm going to assume you've watched the other videos. So we're going to have our fences. And it adds 3 more regular fences. And a Nefarious Neighbor fence. So the base game is up to 4 players. This makes the game up to an 8-player game. So that is doubles your player amount. So because of that, we're going to get some more shrubs. I don't know if between the base set and this, if this many shrubs is enough, or if you run out quicker. Now we have all our different cards in the boxes. That's really neat how it sorts it out. So this game is going to come with a couple of different things. The big difference is it has roll cards, which I have to find. So what you can do is you can add these roll cards into the game. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's an 8-player game and there's 10, so even if you play with all of them. But if you play with the roll cards, one person is always supposed to use the Nefarious Neighbor. And what this does, though, is it adds a separate deck of cards they use instead of the regular ones. So it's basically everyone's playing against the Nefarious Neighbor, more so than just playing against each other. So like his effects is you win if the Nefarious Neighbor has 5 corrupted beasts on their lawn, or are there no cards remaining in the main deck. So that's his goal to win. So what the other roll cards do, and I'm not going to read through all of them, but basically what they're going to do is they give you an alternative win condition. So the henchman wins. If the Nefarious Neighbor wins, well, the henchman has no creatures on their lawn. So basically the henchman is kind of going to work with the Nefarious Neighbor. A Griffin Lady wins if you end their turn with 3 mythical griffins on the line. So this person just wants to collect griffins. Now, you can alternatively win the game by still collecting 5 creatures. This is just every character then gets an alternate win condition. So this one, if they have the stray cat and the alley cat on their turn. Hex Lord if they have 3 hex creatures and no other player has any hexed ones. Exotic Pet Collector if you can have 3 creatures that do not have one of the main 4 types, Unicorn, Pegasus, Griffin, or Dragon. The Savior wins if they have 2 sacrificed creatures on their lawn, which is a new creature type. The Tidier, if they have no ruins in their fences or in their hand. The Curator wins with 1 mythical dragon, Pegasus, unicorn, and griffin. So they only need 4, but they need 1 of each type. And the Control Freak, if they have 3 creatures wearing collars. It's kind of just an interesting extra thing you can do. So you can throw these in. I mean, you can play the regular game without any of these. You have 4, 5, 6, 7, up to 7 players without using any of these. If you're playing with 8, you're going to have to use the Nefarious Neighbor. Otherwise, they're going to have a specialty deck, and it might not be as fair. But you don't have to. I think the other reason if you use the Nefarious Neighbor and they have their deck, these other role cards give players a more advantage to win. So before I start going through the Nefarious Neighbors stuff, I'm going to look at some of the other cards. So the expansion does come with some of these cards I just showed at the beginning. So yeah, again, if I buy the expansion, I get these as well. But if someone goes out and buys the base game, they're not going to have these special cards. And then there's the Nefarious Neighbors turn order. And their spinner results. So they have special spinner results versus everyone else. And they draw from a special deck. They draw from their forbidden deck. They can cast curses instead of spell cards. Magic cards. What are they? Spell cards, I believe. They can summon and they do their spinner phase. So they have slightly different rules. But we're going to go through what they added some. Slide these out of the way. We'll zoom up on this. So they added some new regular creatures because there's more players. So if you bought the expansion, you don't even want to use the Nefarious Neighbor stuff in the Forbidden deck. You can just add these other cards to your deck if you'd like. So we have a Rune-Eating Pegasus. We have an Impatient Griffin. An Extremely Fluffy Unicorn. A Cargo Pegasus. A Spiteful Griffin. An Anxious Unicorn. And a Slobbery Dragon. And a Nesting Dragon. So that's 2 of each of those creature types. And then we have some specialty ones. We have a Protective Ouroboros. A Chaotic Foo Dog. And then we have the Alley Cat to go with the Stray Dog. And then there are also a couple of spells. So we just did some repeats just for the hex of it. Works like a charm. Dispels Disaster. Rune Recharge. 2 is a magic number. And those are just that way you have more cards for the more players. So brand new ones are 1 Magician's Trash. Hit the Bench. Randomancy. And Hex Reversal. Alright, so then we have a couple new ruins. We have Out of the Doghouse. Spray and Stay. Home Ruin. Freedom and Sweep. You snooze, you lose. Saved by this bell. And then a bunch of repeats, and I think this is just to add, so there's 2 of each for another copy of each card. So there's Grubby Grabbers, Tricky Traps, Suction Abduction, Rinse and Repeat, there's a second one of those, Rain Check, and then 2 Whacker Runs. I think that makes 3 of each of the main types. Alright, so that is all of the... So here's the Forbidden deck. It's kind of a different back with the other cards, which had like a brown one, or a black one. And like you have the pause for a creature, we can have the magical spell. This has the lightning bolt, which is for the curse. Alright, so now we have... These are the... What are they called? They're not cursed creatures. They are corrupted beasts. So these are what the Nefarious Neighbors is playing instead. These are horrifyingly monsters instead of magical creatures. So they have a summoning cost though. That is the one difference. They have to sacrifice a creature to be able to play him. So one other card that there's a bunch of in here is he has a sacrificial creature. So sacrificial creature cannot be hexed or destroyed. So basically the Nefarious Neighbor has to play these to sacrifice to play their other guys. Unless they have something that lets them steal other magical creatures, they can use them because it is any creature. And there's that one roll that you have to have 3 of these. So that means someone has to try and steal these. So there are a ton of sacrificial creatures in here. Couple different pictures. So he's got more than enough to draw them and play them. And you can sacrifice your corrupted creatures as well. So if you have one that says enter a play, draw a card from the Forbidden deck, you want to play a different creature, you can steal him as well. So there's a couple of the Bellowing Behemoths. There are 4 of them. So that's the 2 differences from the other game, or from the rest of the creatures. There's the sacrificial and the Bellowing Behemoths have multiples. Every other creature is different. So now let's look at the rest of those. So we have a Gruesome Grub, a Spectral Shredder, a Thunderhound, a Salamonster, so it's not to discard a creature and a regular card. A Rune Raptor. There are 2 of those, so I was wrong. A Crooked Chimera, which actually marks the 2nd Chimera in the set. So this one is a Mistbringer. You have to actually do 1 unicorn and a sacrificial creature. So it's a little bit harder to pull off because you have to have specifically a unicorn and a sacrificial creature instead of just 1 of anything. But it gets a little bit better effect for that reason. So here we're corrupting a dragon as a toxic terror. Here's the Pegasus, the Wingbane, and here's a Griffin, the Vilebeak. Alright, so then instead of having magical spells, the Forbidden deck in the first number uses curses. So they're basically the same thing, they just gave it a different symbol so you could keep it separate, called it something different. So a Malevolent Maelstrom, a Vicious Vandalism, Corrupt Conjuration, Evil Evocation. Get me some tongue twisters in here. A Sinister Summoning, and finally the Nefarious Necromancy. And then last but not least, the Nefarious Neighbor also has their own ruins, which have their own symbol as well. So like there's this two shaped kind of like the square with a line. There's all jagged. And that's again just I think to help keep them separate. They're still ruins, but you know like they're evil ruins. So we have the Crookie Jar, the I Spy, the Tempting Tunes, the Cone of Conduct, the Charred Bargain, the Keggle to the Meggle, the Unhappy Hour, Destruction Manual, Snappy Crap, and Corrupting Collar. Alright. So that was Rules and Regulations, Nefarious Neighbors, the expansion. So this is not a standalone expansion. You will need the base set to play this. Otherwise you won't have enough any of the cards, plus you have none of the actual regulations. It would have been cool if they'd added maybe some couple fewer new regulations to the set as well. Just to keep it, just to add some more things. But again, you can buy this if you don't want to play a Nefarious Neighbor and use him. Just play less than 8 players, play 7 players or less. Just don't use those cards. Don't use the roll cards. You can just add the roll cards into the regular game if you want. It's not what the rules say, but it's your game. You can do whatever you like. Catch you guys later. Bye.